And we're back. Our guest for this segment is Jennifer Bullard, correct?
That's correct.
An OSU grad, an engineer, a Division VIII construction engineer. I'm so proud of her. With the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. Jennifer, welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you very much.
It's always good to see a woman get it. I'm so proud of you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a lot of construction projects underway. Now, we need to explain, you're not involved with the interstates or the freeways.
No, we are.
much.
No, ODOT is involved with the all-on system, which is interstates and state highways.
Oh, you are involved?
Yes.
I thought you weren't involved. I thought you just handled roads and bridges in the area.
Well, for Division VIII, which is the northeast portion of Oklahoma.
So you got it all.
I mean, there's 11 counties, so there's a lot of
Toledo.
area that we
Yeah.
cover.
Well, see, I don't know everything. I'm working on it. Now then, how many projects do we have underway right now
Currently within the state or within the division?
within the division?
I think within the division, we probably have 100 projects, but between the interstate projects and the state highway projects and our local government projects, which are county roads.
Mm-hmm. You know, you guys have got to be in an incredibly, there's the map, an incredibly
Yes.
interesting position, because on the one hand, you know where the rubber meets the road, there's going to be a problem or two. You know that we have one of the biggest bridge deficiencies in the country, and that they need serious repair. And yet, when you start them, people are glad to see you working on them,
Yes.
and then they start to hit you. When are you going to be finished? How much
Yes.
longer? What's taking you so long?
Absolutely.
That-
That's something that we will continue to face, I think, from now till the end of time. I mean, it's always exciting to start a project, and everyone is very happy when finally they're getting something fixed. And kind of like anything else with life, your patience starts to run out, and you feel like it's taking longer than maybe it actually has been if it impacts your daily commute.
Sure.
It's something that you see daily, and so you're really almost intimately involved in that project.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, these huge detours, like there are a couple I think underway now, or one about to start, where folks are going to have to make incredible detours. I think got to go to Missouri, or not really, but they're going to have to make large detours just to get to and from work.
And that's something that we absolutely consider. And when we consider detours, we have to also consider what would we be impacting if we did not detour. It would be extensive time on the project. The project would be extended by almost probably twofold. There's a lot of environmental issues that we have to consider, and when we can do things and when we cannot. So all of that plays into what we go to decide when we are deciding if a detour is really worth it or not.
Sure, and it puts a big strain on everybody involved.
It absolutely does.
What's the priority right now? Are we looking at bridges as a priority or the roads?
Absolutely, bridges are still our priority. And like you had mentioned before, we are unfortunately one of the top states in the nation for structurally deficient bridges. And we have been actively working on lowering that number. And we've gone from about 1,200 structurally deficient bridges to about 250 bridges.
Really?
Absolutely.
You guys have taken a chunk out of
We've
that.
made huge strides in
That's
lowering
great.
that number.
A lot of those are in rural areas where you've got school buses that go over them twice daily, pick up and return trips. And I know a lot of parents and grandparents alike are concerned about, you know, the transportation of their children over those bridges. Are you all able to give a projection to the other 200 or so that need work as to when to expect repairs?
Well, certainly any of our structurally deficient bridges are still the high priority. So those are within our 8-year work plan, and we're actively working to get those actually replaced. In the meantime, we do consistent inspections on all of those bridges, and if we find that emergency repairs need to be made, then we make those at that time.
This may sound like a totally senseless question, but I have a reason for asking. As you go in and evaluate the health of a bridge, are you struck by the differences in construction methods of when it was built as opposed to construction methods today?
Yes and no, which is not a great answer, but some things we do very similar to the way things were always done, 50, 60, 70
Sure.
years ago. But then there have always been technology advances where now we don't do some of those same items that we may have done back in the day.
I know that there's down by Boston Avenue Methodist Church, there's been, some incredible work going on over those bridges and overpasses. And somebody made the remark to me the other day, it's not the most, feel-good thing in the world to go by and see work underway being held up with wooden posts. And I'm sure that's how a lot of folks must feel. But by the time they add those posts in for support, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what's going to work and what won't work.
Absolutely.
Are there any that should be avoided at all costs right now?
Absolutely not. Like I said, we do significant amount of inspections, and we make sure that all of those inspections are done by professional engineers. The reports are stamped by professional engineers, and any repairs that need to be made are done very quickly.
We have a lot of traffic in Oklahoma, and it's an amazing state because back in the Dust Bowl days, we got dirt and silica and everything else blown in here from about 6 states or 7. Now we have traffic coming in from 5 or 6 different directions, really beating the daylights out of our roads. Even the toll roads suffer. And there's a major portion of money going just general maintenance. What are we looking at? What kind of expenditures are we looking at on a yearly basis?
I'm not really sure what the maintenance portion of how much they actually spend, because I normally do the construction side. But that certainly our asset preservation, we have kind of like our 8-year construction program, they have an asset preservation program where they're really extending the life of roads and bridges so that we aren't having to do complete redos of bridges and roadways. We're preserving those as best we can.
Do you guys work toll roads as well?
We do not. That's the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority.
So that's where I got confused earlier.
Yes, yeah.
All right, because all I hear now is when them things going to be paid off? When pigs fly. It's that far down the road, and they've been paid off for a while. What's the manpower situation with your group? You guys short, long? Where are you?
Within ODOT, we do the best we can and have always never laid off or had furloughs for any of our employees due to budget cuts or anything like that. Unfortunately, we kind of have to sacrifice some of the projects. With the construction side, our money, when it comes to us, we put that out to bid. And so we have construction contractors that are actually doing the work of any project that you see around the city of Tulsa.
Mm-hmm. I was in Arizona a few years back, and I really got the shock of my life because I saw that they'd closed off places, roadside pull-offs where people could, like truck drivers, could pull off and sleep if they had to. And the trucks, the big 18-wheelers, were lined up 20, 25 deep along the edge of the highway, 4-lane highway, trying to sleep because they'd closed them because of budget cuts. I did a little further checking. I also found out that a lot of their highway construction projects had been stopped. Are we facing that with the current budget shortages?
Absolutely not. We are not in a position that we are stopping contracts as when they are awarded and we make sure that those contractors are going to work. We are not in a position right now where we are stopping any projects.
Well, here's hoping you stay ahead of the pack, kid.
Absolutely.
Because I'm a political animal. You're not. You're a hard-working person, and I get by. So I can beat on these politicians and call each other names from time to time. Thank you for coming in. We really are
problem.
grateful to hearing a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Go OSU. Well, while he was a Tulsa firefighter, he found a way to draw attention to fire prevention. That's still remembered his way. More after this.